How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the More Defined podcast. I'm your host, James Chapman Jr., and today we have Jennifer Penick, who I'm going to let introduce herself and share a little bit more about who she is and what she does.
So I'm Jennifer Penick. I've been here in Mississippi for about 20 years. I've worked in behavioral mental health primarily. My background is I went to the University of Alabama. I have a master's degree in human environmental sciences and a master's degree in counseling psychology. And more recently, I've mostly retired from the field of mental health, and I work freelance, and I have a tech startup here in Mississippi as well.
Okay, good. So the essence of the podcast is conversation style, and I definitely want it to flow like one. The way I start off every podcast is just doing a check-in, kind of like 1 to 10, just with everything, just kind of be general. You can go, and then I'll follow after you.
On like the scale of 1 to 10,
yeah.
How am I? Oh my goodness, I would probably say I'm like a 9.9. This is probably one of the best seasons of my life, one of the most exciting times of my life, and I've just come off of spring break and then a week of traveling, working to expand my company, so that has just been extremely fulfilling.
Okay. For me, I would say I'm at a 9, especially being able to do this episode today. But with everything else going on, I can't complain about anything. Videography is doing well so far this year, and I just got done. Well, it's been a while, but I just got done making my own website to actually like push my brand out and everything in there. So everything is aligning. All right, so this is something that I ask all of my guests. And this is more of a general thing, and you can kind of go wherever you want to go with it. But at what moment did you know, or did someone tell you that you had the gift for like the things that you do?
Okay, so I would say I realized my gifting very young. One of the things that was unique about my life in particular was I grew up a military dependent. So my dad was in the Army, and I didn't know what it meant at the time, but everywhere we went, people were always thanking us and thanking me. And I grew up on military bases and in their education system largely until high school. And so it was a very much, you can do absolutely anything. You are special. You are important. You are beautiful. That was the narrative that I grew up with. So I believed from a very young age that I could do anything. I grew up in the Reagan administration. So we were always seeing people like Nancy Reagan saying, you can do anything. You can be the next president if you want to. And so for me, that really shaped the narrative of the way I went after things in my life.
Okay. So for that, did you see any other people around you that you felt like you could kind of strive to like be like them, or any type of like mentors or anything that helped you kind of like center on what it is that you wanted to go after when it came to like going to school or anything else?
For me, teachers were like the inspiration. Primarily, I went into the field of psychology because I had a high school teacher, Mr. Copeland. He was the most monotone human being. He was the definition of monotone. Yeah. But I took I think he maybe taught history or something, but then he also taught a psychology class. And so that was my first intro to psychology, and I saw something different in him. When he talked about psychology, it made me want to learn more about what that was. So really, teachers were, I knew in my mind, I didn't know if I wanted to be a teacher, but I saw how they shaped the minds of individuals around them, and I really looked up to that. And then secondly, I grew up extremely sickly. I spent a lot of time in the hospital, and I spent a lot of time with doctors and nurses. Okay. And so the way that they cared for me and the way that I saw them talk to each other and just spending so much time in hospitals, like that became a part of why I wanted to go into the area where I started out, which was child life. So I started out working with children in hospitals straight out of college.
Okay, yeah, that's a unique experience, actually.
It
was. So, like you said earlier, you've been here in Mississippi for 20 years or a little over 20 years now. How would you say your experience has been here so far?
I would say it has definitely been enlightening here. Mississippi is different. I've grown up primarily across the South because I was too sick to go anywhere else. So we literally could not be stationed anywhere else. They said my health would not have sustained it. But being in Mississippi, I've learned about community and culture. And those were two things that when you move around a lot, you don't really find a great examples of community. Yeah. But when I say like community and connectiveness is what has really been so impactful about my Mississippi experience. Yeah, it's taught me about what it means to have a heritage that people are really proud of, that they want to see grow. It's the reason why I've got into legacy work, because I've worked with nonprofits here in Mississippi, and they were founded by, they're still, some of them have the originators of those foundations. So really learning about legacy and history and even overcoming history has been the narrative of my Mississippi journey. Yeah,
I love that. It's always interesting to talk to people who weren't born here, and they came for various reasons or whatnot, but I'm always interested to hear how their experience is and how that's going and everything. So yeah. Like you mentioned earlier, being in behavioral therapy, you've been a mental health advocate for a good while. What is being an advocate, what makes being an advocate to that important for you?
Well, I would say that's a long list, but being an advocate to me was imperative because I worked in the school. So I worked in JPS, Jackson Public School System, for 7 years. And I also worked providing services during the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think if I had had that experience, I may not have considered myself an advocate and decided that it was imperative to me being a person here in Mississippi to advocate for those that don't even realize the impact that our young people especially go through every single day. And so it unified people during the pandemic to understand the stressors and the strains. But for us being able to go into the homes, because we were seeing youth over Zoom, or, not Zoom, I should not say Zoom. Telehealth, okay? We had telehealth services that were provided during the pandemic, and it enabled me to see especially what it was that the family unit was going through. When you have to meet someone maybe on the school campus, or you're getting paperwork signed, or you're talking about a treatment plan, there's a mask that comes on, and it's I'm the parent and I'm just showing up and making sure that my kid is okay. But when we had to deal with loss and record numbers and things, the parents were coming forth and saying, I'm not okay. I don't know what to tell my kids. I'm afraid that, someone else in my family is going to get sick or going to die. And it required a whole different level of awareness of what the problems really were. And I knew that I couldn't not continue to champion that cause, because not enough services reach our area fast enough in the aftermath of things like a global pandemic. So being an advocate and really bringing forth those issues and at least championing those things that can help in the areas where it's not talked about enough, that was really important to me.
How was working in JPS for those 7 years?
Enlightening. I will say this, I fell in love with Jackson through, again, I have a heart for teachers. So I fell in love with Jackson through the teachers that worked there, that showed up day after day, probably not getting enough of what they needed, needing the services themselves, and but still trying to do what they could to meet students where they were. And so I would say part of the reason why I went into consulting work was to be in a position to give back, because I saw so much from the inside in, from the inside. And I know that a lot of people are not safe to talk about what they're experiencing on the inside, because they still have to show up there and work, and they need that income. But I felt like for myself, I could take a chance to walk outside of my role and then try to find a way back in to help change some of the things that I'm seeing in other places that are already being transformed that can really help not only our students but our faculty as well.
Yeah, you're in consulting. Were you doing, what specifically were you doing, I guess, before you got into like the consulting role?
So I started working with boards.
Okay.
So I was asked to join an advisory board for a local nonprofit, and I was excited to do that because I wanted to understand how nonprofits work. I was in the process of starting my own nonprofit, and I felt like, okay, if I can be on the inside, I can understand a little bit more, it'll give me confidence. So from there, I was asked to join the executive board, and then realized, oh, okay, there's a lot more to this that I think someone who had never had the experience, I was afraid of, like, I didn't know what would be expected and what would be asked. So from there, it became I'm learning a lot. I'm a type of person, I'm a researcher by nature.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go out and do board leadership trainings and do research and things like that. So it kind of allowed me to transition into the role of consulting in that area. Plus, again, I wanted to give back to those that were in my industry, those in the mental health field who were silently burning out and not knowing what to do, because at the end of the day, the dollar really makes a lot of the decisions, not the client or the provider.
So for anybody that wants to get into behavioral therapy, or just a little bit more in line with what you're doing now, what would you recommend them to start to do?
I would say first volunteer. You're not necessarily volunteering to provide any type of services, but I just say get involved in the community. Get involved in helping someone work through just a problem. One of the things that I realized very early on was that I was comfortable helping people talk through a problem without telling them what I wanted them to do. And I think sometimes we get into an area and we don't realize how much of a natural skill set it needs in order to be able to be on the other side of someone's very serious problem and not bring yourself to the table, but to bring moral and ethics and a level of empathy that is needed to do the work. So I would say definitely make sure that you're a civic-minded person, a person that can show up and repeatedly help others without feeling like you need gratification or notoriety, because those two things are not a part. They are not a part of the role in a lot of cases. And then after that, research programs. Really get aligned. There's a lot of different areas of the cognitive sciences that you can be a part of. And so be intelligent about what it is. Not everyone has to be a therapist. I started out working at the Head Start. My first role here in Mississippi was a behavioral specialist. And at the time, they were having a huge problem with kindergartners getting kicked out and not having the behavior skills to get along and to listen to people outside of their immediate family. So I started in that area, just understanding how to introduce skills, how to work with families, and then transitioned into I actually went back to school because I took it that seriously. I did not want to sit in front of someone who was trusting me with their mental health and not be the latest. I graduated my first master's degree in 2001. I'm going to date myself. But then I went back in 2014 and I went and got another master's degree because I really understand the need of working with mental health.
So going into that field, you're generally going to have to go to grad school, essentially.
So if you have a bachelor's degree, you can work in case management. You can work as a community support specialist. So yes, there are a lot of entry-level areas that you can go. But I'm going to say this, the advisor that I had in my bachelor's degree immediately said, get prepared to go that next level. Because in our current landscape, we have to remember there's a lot of boards and legislative policies that govern who can do what. So yeah, I would say there are some more direct routes that if you're a young person, especially going to school right now, you can do. But know that, a graduate level or even a PhD is going to be the level that you're looking at for your education.
Yeah. Just want to let anybody know that. Do you still run your small business? Okay. Hope I got the name of it right. Pinkstargazer Designs.
Yes. So that is one of the two.
Okay. Yeah. What led you to start that one specifically?
Okay. So Pinkstargazer Designs was born. I have to give credit to the Jackson Public School system because I had started working with an agency that was contracted to do mental health in the schools. And my first, I think it was maybe my second, our Christmas break, there was a water line issue that required us to stay on break like 2 or 3 weeks after we were supposed to come back. And I got to a point where at the time we weren't doing telehealth. So I was like, what am I going to do with myself? I've always liked art, and I was experimenting with fluid art, which is poured paint. So as I was doing that, again, I love sustainability. I didn't want waste. And I started researching what can I do with this runoff paint? What can I do with it? Well, I found YouTube University and found that people were making jewelry out of it. And so I was already making things like bracelets and, just for myself. But I had the time and nothing else like pulling at me to start experimenting with making jewelry out of dried paint. And when I went back, I was wearing some of it, and I had teachers that were like, I want to buy that. Where did you get that? And I was like, I made it. And that's where Pinkstargazer was born. I started making other types of jewelry, from there, and decided that, hey, if I'm going to be making this all, I need to sell it. And so I formed my first LLC in 2018.
Okay. So you've been doing it for a good while now.
Yes. And I love it.
What do you think, what are you hoping that anybody who interacts with Pinkstargazer Designs or ends up buying the jewelry, like what do you hope that they get from it?
So my brand represents wearable art, and I believe that each individual person is valuable. I don't believe that my art is valuable. I believe that I am valuable. And so when someone interacts with my brand and they buy my pieces and they wear it, I want them to be reminded of the intrinsic value that they hold, that they are the art. They are what allows that piece to be valuable, desired, or any of those things. So for me, it's really about bringing back the person-centered aspect of a brand, not necessarily the dollars. I say all the time, my jewelry for me is more of a business card. It's a way for women to spark conversations with each other. I hear all the time, people call me up and they're like, such and such, I just met because I had on your earrings. And they were like, you must know Jennifer. And so for me, I want it to be something that brings people closer together and that creates a conversation from people that may have never normally talked. I just got back from South by Southwest, and probably 20 conversations that I had were because someone said, oh my gosh, I really like your piece. I like your earrings. I like your ring. And I got to know something about a person that I might not have ever talked to in life because of something that was on my person. And they got to know the person underneath the item. And to me, that is why Pinkstargazer is what it is.
And so I guess the other business would be your tech startup?
BEIBEAUX Soul.
Okay.
So it stands for Better In, Better Out Solutions. So BEIBEAUX, because I'm from Louisiana, and that's Cajun, so that ox. We love, and that is my kind of response to what Mississippi has given me over the last 20 years in the field. It's something that I wanted to found to give back. And it really just started out as consulting, And when I recognized the problem was bigger than a conversation, there needed to be a system, I started building the system.
Okay, yeah. So where do you eventually see that company going?
I see it revolutionizing the way that we govern and distribute funding, especially for our nonprofits and small businesses. It is designed to bring into the AI era the way that we fund our missions. And here in Mississippi, we are one of the most underfunded, underrepresented areas, especially with our nonprofits and small businesses. And we're at a pivotal point to change that. And so that is what BEIBEAUX is here to do.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Do you still run the nonprofit that you have?
Well, I'll say this. When someone needs my help and they don't have any money for me, I'm doing that under the nonprofit. But right now, I'm looking to build a board. I really wanted to recognize, and that's part of the reason why my tech company came into being, because I realized I did not know what I did not know. I could not ask people to come and take on fiduciary responsibility for something that I didn't have all the understanding for. And so, yes, Great I Am Mississippi Inc. is still active and in good standing in the state of Mississippi. But am I doing current programming? Right now, I'm looking for board members, to build with.
Yeah. So with the tech startup, or kind of just in a general way, what would you say to anybody else that's doing like similar work or even working in those nonprofits? What would you say is the best way to look for those funds, to look for grants and things of that nature, to allow themselves to have those abilities to do the work that they want to do?
So if you had asked me this a couple of weeks ago, I probably would have had a whole different answer. But again, I just spent the last week at South by Southwest under the guidance of the National Science Foundation. So I was one of the companies chosen to go out and do an immersive customer discovery there within the event. And I spoke with over 50 founders about what their funding journey has been. And we went in with the hypothesis that everybody is looking for money and there's not enough money out there. But what I came back with was a perspective that it's a lot about how you align with the money that is out there. And so what I found from a lot of founders is that who they know and who's willing to open doors for them has been hugely impactful in the funding that they're able to get. So I would say, one, yes, use those traditional avenues that we can to research out finding funding, but be a part of networks, be a part of communities that are making the impact, because the funding finds the impact. That's what I have learned in that customer discovery journey.
Yeah. Okay. Author and storyteller in your own right. Why did you choose to start telling and sharing stories in this medium?
So it's always been in me. I was an avid reader growing up, again, being from a community that really just championed education. My mom was a go read a book mom. You did not tell that woman that you were bored because it was the encyclopedia and it was the dictionary. You couldn't say, like, I finished that book, well, go read the dictionary. I know you haven't finished that yet. So I actually won an award for my elementary school that was named after someone that was obviously pretty great. But it was a avid reader award. And I never stopped believing that was a part of who I was. And so I always knew that I would write books. But when I had the opportunity to start writing anthologies and really talking about my relationship with God, I just felt like I had arrived. Like that was the thing that if I didn't do anything else in my life, I knew that I was supposed to write and to tell my story. So I chose to write with other women because one, it was less scary to me. It was less scary to write a chapter in not being the author of a full book. And so I also loved the community that I gained through that process, because I got to know them, got to know their stories. I got to travel to parts of the United States that I had never been before, to meet them and to work with them and to do retreats. And so it's just something that I fell in love with. And I went from never publishing as an anthology author to publishing in 4 different publications and being an international best-selling author within the span of like a year and a half.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And so it's an amazing journey, and I'm still writing today.
Well, congratulations on the international best-selling.
Thank you.
And those future best-selling books as well. Whenever you're writing, I know you mentioned working with women. Do you appeal to a certain audience whenever you're doing your writings?
I think the audience that I'm trying to appeal to is those that are curious about God. I want to shift a narrative that I hear a lot, especially working with young people, that they don't have a place in religion or spirituality because of somebody else's narrative. So I'm looking to connect with those that are feeling a pull towards what if God is doing something in my life, and letting them know that He's not an unapproachable God, and that He's much closer than you think. I think that's it. Maybe when we think of baby Christians.
Yeah. Okay. For you, what does it mean to be a mother?
So I love that question. For me, to be a mother means that, for me, in the very beginning, it was confirmation that there was a God. So again, I grew up with a lot of health issues. Somehow, I overheard a doctor, and the doctor was saying about me having kids. Now, remind you, now I'm under the age of 10. Like, I'm probably 6 or 7. I didn't know what was being said. Reason why I wanted to be an advocate for youth in the hospital setting starting out. But what was happening was they had found out that I had sickle cell trait. And so he was explaining to my mom that she doesn't need to have kids with someone who also has sickle cell trait because of the probability that her child will have sickle cell anemia. And so only after I got older, and I hope I don't embarrass my mom, but she would say all the time, you know, I'm hanging out with my friends, I'm 16, 17 years old, don't you go out there and get pregnant, don't you? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, I can't have no baby anyway.
Yeah.
She was like, where does this even come from? So this whole time, part of my life, I believed something that wasn't true, because I was present for a conversation I didn't understand. And from then she was like, no, you have sickle cell. So she cleared up everything. But I had been like the babysitter from like 9 all the way up. Like, my sister was much older than me. Her friends had kids. I was the babysitter. I loved it because I thought, I will never have my own kids. So I just wanted to care for kids. And from that point, I remember thinking, I'm going to be a mom. Like, I just knew it. I just knew with everything in me. I knew I was going to be a boy mom. And as I was working in the hospitals, again, like I said, I thought every child, every young person that I interact with, this is like practice for me when I get to be a mom. And so I took notes, I listened, like I cared so much about their childhood experience because I thought this is the only way I'm going to really know what it's like. I was the baby of the family, so everybody is older than me. So when I found out that I was pregnant with my first son, it was just confirmation that, like, oh my God, this is happening. And I'll be honest, I didn't care a whole lot about being married at the time. I just wanted to be a mom.
Yeah.
I found a card that my mom wrote to me at my baby shower, and she was like, you've always wanted to be a mom. And like, this kid is getting such an amazing mom, and he's going to be so blessed to have you as a mom. And he's 21 now. He's 21 years old. He's the reason why I'm here in Mississippi. Because I couldn't I finished grad school, got a job. I was working in Atlanta at the Children's Hospital. And when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, I can't imagine raising this kid not with my family.
Yeah.
And everybody had moved here to Mississippi. So I came here. And now I have 2 more. So I have 3 boys. They are my world. I don't think that I might have gone in and started my tech company if it wasn't for me wanting to show them that absolutely anything is possible. Do not look at where you are today, because you can be anywhere tomorrow. And so being a mom, not just to my kids, but to my great niece and nephews, and to other adolescents, and I'm a director of mentees for a nonprofit here in Mississippi as well. And so being a mother to me isn't a biological thing. It's a spiritual thing. So I carry a mother energy with me, and I'm very, very, very proud of that.
I love that answer. All right, we're moving to the last little segment here. What is some advice that you would give to someone wanting to start writing books?
I think the simplest piece is just do it. Just do it. But bigger than that, we operate well in community. And so I believe things that we try to do in silo, in isolation, we are kind of captive to our mind. And our mind, in its effort to protect us, is going to try to deter us from the things that we've never done before. And especially if we don't have people close to us who we've seen do it, then it becomes especially scary. And I think I delayed writing for a very long time because I did not have a community that was there just simply saying, you can do it. So I would say if you're thinking about writing, just start. Start with something that you're passionate about, but don't look for it to do the thing. Don't look for it to be a bestseller. Don't look for it to be everybody wants it.
Yeah.
Create something that you feel good about, So that's where I would say start.
Okay. What is one thing that you would like to see changed in Jackson or like the surrounding community?
All right. I would love to see the way we use the land here change, largely because I feel like we have so much untapped potential, and it's about systems. So one of the things that I believe as a founder is that systems in a lot of ways can box us in. Yeah. But when we are willing to break systems, we grow exponentially. And I just see a huge opportunity for the city of Jackson to reimagine the way that it utilizes the land. I am sitting in an example of this. This is one of the reasons why I believe this. Stephen in the Briarwood Arts Center utilizing a building that wasn't reaching its potential and allowing it the opportunity to reach its potential. We have so many creatives, we have so many innovators, we have so many so much need, and we have what is literally valuable land that is sitting unused because of whatever different reasons. I won't just name it, but yeah. So I definitely would think, I came back from Austin, a city that I see using its land in amazing ways and allowing the people and the culture to really be represented, and it brings a huge industry to the city. So yeah, I would love to see Jackson revolutionize that here with its native people and really shake things up.
Yeah. All right, this is my last question. So I'm going to say it a little slowly. If you owned a library, what kind of library would it be? A music library, a movie/TV show library, or like a regular book library?
So it's crazy that you asked me this question because I've literally thought about this. I had a dream when I was younger and my name was on a library. And it made me think since then, and I've always thought, because I want to be prepared for when that time comes. But I would have a digital library. I would have a library where youth especially can come and they can see the world that they have never been to, and they can immerse themselves in the reality of why the book was written. So I have always had a passion for biographies and autobiographies. Amelia Earhart was like I read everything Amelia Earhart growing up. But I would love to see a space where young people can come in and we can use a screen to immerse them in a culture, in a community, that they don't have to get on a plane and, you know, spend the night somewhere else to go, and to allow them to dream about where it is that they really want to see themselves in the world. So I would have a digital library.
Okay. That's probably my favorite answer that I got into that question. I, like you, was an avid reader as a kid, and so knowing that libraries, even though they're struggling a little bit, are still like a thing. Hearing somebody say they would want something like that, like if I heard that as a kid and was able to get a chance to experience that, I thought that would be really cool, and that probably made me want to do even more reading than what I was already doing then. So I really love that. Well, Jennifer, I want to thank you for taking some of your time today and being able to share some of your experiences and everything. I definitely appreciate it.
I appreciate it. This has been a wonderful experience. Thank you for having me.
All right. This is the More Defined podcast. I'll see y'all next time.